Hello teachers, it's Marilyn Brown from Teach Marilyn B-Style. I wanted to talk to you today about scaffolding. What is scaffolding? No, not folding. Yes, I have to do laundry. I feel like this has been such a topic this week. Anyways, scaffolding. If you are an online ESL teacher like me, I work for VIPKid, then you've probably heard the term scaffolding, or maybe you've seen it on your teacher tags. But if you were not a classroom teacher, you might not know exactly what this means. Now, there is a broad definition, and then there's two kind of like sub definitions that I'm going to talk about. So the first thing that I want to do is define the word scaffolding. Scaffolding, like it sounds when you think of like the scaffolding when they're building something at a construction site, it's the series of steps or supports that you provide for something in order for the end product to be built. So in general, that's what scaffolding is. But in the classroom, scaffolding is a guided series of steps that you would provide to support your student. The entire point of this guidance is so that your student will understand new concepts and acquire new skills. So we're trying to work toward the mastery of specific learning objectives. What does that mean? Let's go back to that building example. A scaffold is something that is built that is meant to be removed so the building can stand on its own. So in that same way, a child's education and their steps to learning something, we want to scaffold them, support them as they're learning so that when those supports are removed, they're able to stand on their own. Now that's going to look two different ways. Number one, we're going to look at scaffolding down. When a student is struggling with a concept, we want to make sure to build underneath them on things they already know so that we can support them and get them up to that learning objective. So let me give you a really specific example. Every day during my classes, I ask my students how they are, and then I say, what did you do today? And for a lot of my lower level students, I teach a lot of level 2 students, they will answer in the present tense because I use the word today, so that can seem a little bit confusing. It doesn't necessarily match the past tense like yesterday or last month or last year. And so they might be thinking, today is present tense, I do my homework. But I'll always remind them, you already finished your homework. And I will scaffold by saying, let's say it in past tense. So I use TPR, past tense, and then usually I'll type it out in the chat box, but I will provide some sort of visual so that they can see that it is past tense. I did my homework. Then I'll use instructional TPR and let them know I want them to repeat it out loud, because for ESL students, output is essential. And I want them to just master the fact that when I ask them, what did you do today? They'll hear the word did, and I'll type that out too. What did you do today? And then I can even underline or write in all caps, I did my homework. Scaffolding down can also look like giving your student options of the correct answer. So let's say they're supposed to tell you something, but they don't know how to answer it. So for example, what type of fruit do you like? And they get stuck because maybe they don't remember the vocabulary word. You can hold up 2 different types of fruit and say, what type of fruit do you like? So just giving a visual or options can help them answer. Do you like oranges or do you like grapes? Obviously, there are a ton of ways that you can scaffold down. Basically, this is building on prior knowledge. So if you know what lessons your student has already completed, and let me insert a little trick here. So if you're a VIPKid teacher, hang on.
Okay, VIPKid teachers, so you'll want to log into your portal on your web browser because you're going to access part of the URL. So up here it says lesson ID =, and then a 6-digit lesson number. So you can see this one ends in 8, and right here you look at the My Feelings lesson, it's Unit 7, Lesson 5. Let's say I haven't taught Lesson 4 and I have no idea what it is. If you just switch that digit to the one before, you'll actually be able to access the prior lesson. So then you can just go into the lesson and access the learning objectives, take a look at the vocabulary, and you will know exactly what prior knowledge your student has from the previous lesson.
Okay, isn't that awesome? You can access the previous lesson if you have never taught it before, and you'll know exactly how to build upon their prior knowledge. Don't spend so much time going over those prior lessons because you just want to prep for what you have and teach them from there. But again, this can be done in so many different ways. So don't take those few examples as the only ways to scaffold down. In fact, why don't you give me some ideas for scaffolding down in the comments below? Obviously, if we talked about scaffolding down, the next thing we're going to talk about is scaffolding up. So let's talk about when a student has already met the learning objective and you need to extend. You want to stay on topic and build upon what they already know. So if the lesson objective is tiger, and let's say it's a beginner student and we want them to say this is a tiger, and you hold up the prop or you get to that slide and they just say, teacher, look, this is a tiger. Okay, now what? They completed that objective in 0.5 seconds, so now you need to extend for like 59 more seconds. What can you do to build on what they already know? You're going to ask them some open-ended questions. Do you like tigers? Why? Now, obviously, a yes or no question is not open-ended, but if you follow that up with a why or why not, then it gives your student an opportunity to produce way more output. Another great way to scaffold up is to ask a student about their personal experience. Have you ever seen a tiger before? When was the last time you traveled to the ocean? What did you do when you went to the playground? There are so many things that you can do to extend upon and scaffold up for your student and build upon their knowledge that they already have. Remember, if you're scaffolding up for a student, one really cool thing that you can do is have them go and grab something. Object TPR is a great way to get your student physically involved with the lesson. So if they have a toy tiger, tell them to go get it. Whatever you can do to get them to connect the objective to what they have is excellent, because it will give them opportunities to talk more about that objective you practiced, and you can even write that in feedback to mom and dad. Just a couple tips that I want to talk about regarding scaffolding in general. If your student needs scaffolding down or up, remember to maintain your positivity. Correct those errors in a positive way. Keep a smile on your face and just keep going. So remember, when you're thinking about scaffolding down, you want to break it into smaller digestible chunks. And then once you build on those, you can expand and make sure you're modeling the whole time. Remember, modeling means just doing exactly what you want your student to do. So if you want them to say an entire sentence, model that. Say the sentence. If it's too much for them, have them say each word on its own. Then do 2 words together and chunk those up. Then finally repeat it again. Keep the scaffold in place until your student has achieved that objective. Then you can go back and ask a question that has that answer. The more opportunities you give your student to practice the objective, the more likely they will be able to achieve it in the short window of time you have them in your class. A great support, whether you're scaffolding up or down, is to use visuals. So remember to keep your whiteboard handy, because you can always draw something or write it out if you need to really quickly. All right, teacher fam, I really hope that helped clarify what scaffolding means. Let me know if you have ideas or maybe even a question that we can help answer. Stick that down in the comments below. Remember to like and share this video, and please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.